Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Carsen Jane Carter. I'm a senior here at ABAC, and I plan on graduating in the fall of 2025. And throughout my research this semester for my capstone project, I decided to do a public relations plan for the Writing and Communications program. Following graduation, I do hope to go into a public relations field, so I felt like this would help me develop those skills and resume skills for this. But I wanted to give you a little background about myself, because I'm not just a student up here trying to fulfill a degree requirement. I am a student that's advocating for a program that needs to be seen. So my personal story. I started ABAC and I was a biology major. Please don't ask me why, I really don't know. It was a really dark time period for me. But I was struggling and I was sitting outside of King's classroom, I think 202, and I had come out of another chemistry test that I wasn't doing well in. And Professor J. Baldwin, he saw me out there. I had him for freshman human comm as well as I'm sure everybody else in the room. And he saw me and he said that I'd be great in communication. And you would think for a person that does like to talk a lot, I would have probably jumped to this the first time that I came to college. But I went to biology because I saw it as a practical major. I saw it as a major that looked straight at the money. It had a job there waiting for me. It made sense. When I explained to somebody I'm a biology major, they knew exactly I'm going into healthcare, you know? But with writing and communication, you see it and it's a little complicated. I don't know how to write a book. Like, that's my initial thought. I don't know how to write a book. I'm not really good at writing, so I feel like I'd only be good at the communication part. But the more that I was in the degree and like as I'm now graduating, I've realized that it's so many different opportunities. There's so many doors that open for me, and I can make the career fit to me instead of me fit to the career. So I want to begin with acknowledging what we all probably know, especially our writing communications department, but we probably don't want to accept. We're facing a critical inflection point. Enrollment has declined to 38 majors. This is a 34% decrease from 58 in fall of 2024. This information was gathered from Professor Sydney Hall, head of the Writing Communications Department. There is evidence to support that there's a possible correlation between FAFSA being a huge part of this. Since last year, there was a decline in FAFSA rates and a lot of unanswered calls and a lot of people having to leave school due to money problems. But also with a lot of people graduating, just like with this semester. So this does make us the smallest degree on campus, despite the extraordinary opportunities, such as the Pegasus Literary Magazine, the Horseman Press, WPLH Radio, and the Stallion newspaper. As a quote from Professor Jeb Sharp during our interviews, he stated, "We get very few freshmen who declare writing communication first." This initially struck me. We're failing to capture students at their initial decision point. Yes, you can have students like me that change their major, maybe add it on as a minor, but we need to start getting them at their initial decision point during Stallion Day, orientation dates. We need to ensure that we catch them right when their brains open to many possibilities. A fundamental principle of human psychology presents the first barrier. We aren't gullible. By default, we veer on the side of being resistant to new ideas. In the absence of the right cues, we reject messages that don't fit with our preconceived views or pre-existing plans. So in other words, students arrive with the notion that I did. What is a practical major? That makes sense. I'm going to go for that one. But a counter-argument to this that we could pull to them is that according to the FHSU Scholars Repository, they did a study of 21 million job advertisements, and every single one of them was looking in their employers' communication skills. So as a quote from Professor J. Baldwin, he said, "What can't you do with a writing communications degree?" It's pretty valid. If all these different jobs are looking for communication skills, then what can't you do with a writing communications degree? And communication is not subjugated to just writing. It's all forms of different media, social media, journalism. It's very broad. So my proposed PR plan isn't merely intuitive, it's grounded in communication theory. I'm going to share my three theoretical pillars that structure my approach. First, starting with agenda setting theory. According to Sage Publications, Daring and Rogers define agenda setting as an ongoing competition among issues' prominence to gain attention. Creating the theory, Walter Lippmann explains how media influences which issues become part of public agenda. So in other words, how am I going to use this? We're going to position writing communication as a fundamental preparation for any career. This is us controlling the narrative. That's shown in the left image. The middle one is the framing theory. Erwin Goffman's framing theory provides a reframe from deficient-based to asset-based language. Rather than focusing on low enrollment, I will emphasize growth potential. Instead of competing with practical majors, we will position ourselves as the essential complement to a technical education. This is the difference between being qualified for a job and being promotable within a career. And the last one is the two-step flow theory, which is leveraging influence networks. Developed by Lasserfield, Barlson, and Gott, this theory reveals how information flows from opinion leaders who interpret and disseminate the ideas. I will activate a network of influential alumni and current student ambassadors who can speak authoritatively about the writing communication prepared them. This will carry the message more effectively than institutional marketing alone. This information was gathered from the Audience Studies Reader. So who are we targeting and which ones are we targeting? So according to the Journal of College Admissions, there are 6 mindsets that students go through when deciding on a college or a major. First, experiential learners. By showing with them, we'll show hands-on activities with students such as the clubs, Stallion newspaper, the WPLH radio, all of the endless real-world opportunities that they have. Career through academic learners will emphasize an integration of theoretical frameworks with a practical application. Through exploration meaning learners will show that communication enables global impact. With social students, we'll show our tight-knit department community and how diverse each one of us. I will give an example of this. For example, in my class, I want to go into public relations, but Abby wants to go into law. And I know that my other colleague, Bryce, he wants to go into podcast. Very different, but we're all in the same major. And then there's career pragmatist. We'll show with them our statistics of employer demand data. They want a job, so I'm going to show them how they get a job. And graduate-bound students, I'll show them the endless research opportunities, such as this capstone speech and any other research projects that they want to do in the future. This ultimately leads to the target audience being high school prospects, incoming freshmen, and current ABAC students. With developing my plan, I've based it off of 4 messaging pillars. First being through promote. We will have Alumni Success Network, which would be showing alumni coming to campus with all the diverse paths that they have taken with their degree and all the success that they have had in different areas of work. Professor Charlotte Klessman's insights that this program is a good career launcher because it allows you to match it with another degree and it's open-ended. This will be central to our positioning. Next is the workshop series. I've labeled it Communication for Career Advantages Workshop Series, open to all ABAC students. Where there we will work on resumes, cover letter development, grad application essays, interview communication skills, research, and writing essentials. These workshops serve dual purposes, which is providing value to broader campus community while positioning writing communication on the authority of professional communication. Second is the educate pillar. Within here, we'll have strategic presence at all student touch points, such as new student orientation with engaging displays, Stallion Day events featuring writing communication clubs, campus-wide events with targeted outreach materials. This would be us dispelling misconceptions and showing what we have to offer. Our second one is the campaign, What Can't We Do campaign. From Professor Baldwin's rhetorical question, we will create a multi-platform information campaign addressing the countless career paths enhanced by communication skills. And faculty speaker series, I'm calling on y'all now, creating a cross-departmental visibility and demonstrating the universal application of the field. Sorry. And then through entertain, we'll have engaging content through social media. As I did my research, I noticed that all of our clubs have a social media page, but writing communication as a whole does not have one or a platform where we can bring them all together. I have been talking with Anthony Baseman, who works in the Stallion newspaper, and Hunter Holton, who also works there as well. And they stated to me that a lot of people don't know we have a Stallion newspaper, and they think it's attached to just ABAC. So I figured with an Instagram platform combining all the clubs together, it would show that the ABAC Stallion is connected with the Writing Communications Department. So this would also, on social media, show day-in-the-life content with authentic behind-the-scenes content showcasing faculty research and professional projects, student productions and creative processes, alumni workspace experiences, and the energy and creativity in our classroom environment. Also through interactive social campaigns utilizing contemporary social media platforms such as Instagram and Facebook, we will show short film video series of communication principles, have student takeovers possibly, user-generated content challenges relating to writing communication, and Q&A sessions with faculty experts on communication issues. And last is Inspire. This will show success spotlights with alumni and students and faculty and even the department. And then there's the Communication Changes Everything series. This will develop storytelling content demonstrating how communication skills transformed outcomes in business, healthcare, politics, and personal relationships. So I'm going to focus mainly on my digital strategy. These are some images of the clubs and what we're working on this semester. In this far, left image is the book that we are publishing in the publishing process class that I'm currently in. It's The Wiregrass Childhood by Brenda Sutton Rose. Within this class, we partner with an outside author and publish her book as a class as a whole. We also have the Stallion newspaper working on layout. We have Professor Keith Perry doing a podcast, the 60 Seconds videos that I'm sure you've seen on Instagram with the Stallion newspaper and the Pegasus Literary Magazine developing their journal. So showing all these would show a unified department platform through Instagram and Facebook. I would also have a content calendar on posting. I would start by posting every day until we reach about 300 plus followers, and then I would probably go to 3 times a week. I also want to develop a promotional video showcasing clubs, students, and internships, kind of showing the general knowledge of writing communication, kind of like what the parents would want to see. And an analytics-driven refinement plan. So I do want to, with my budget that I'll mention later, have it implementing a professional social media analytics tools to measure engagement. This will kind of help us refine our approach, showing like, did people interact with this or do they interact with that? Should we do more of this one? Kind of helps us narrow down what our approach is going to be. And I also propose a student-led media management course for the Instagram. Since I do know a lot of us have not a lot of time on our hands, I figured it would be kind of interesting to have a course that's an elective for writing communication students to join and be supervised by a professor and run the Instagram each semester in the platforms and maybe even plan some events, giving them PR skills, real-world experiences, and showing that our Instagram and our department is very diverse and authentic, showcasing a different vibe every semester. I'm going to go over my implementation plan. I do plan on implementing this in the summer of 2025 during my internship under Cindy Hall. During week 1, I'm going to assess my resources and pitch the budget. During week 2, I'll create the Instagram and Facebook page and collect current incoming students' declared majors. This will start me at a baseline to know where I can grow from. During week 3, I'll begin creating the promotional video and also attend orientation dates on June 10th and 14th for recruitment. For week 4, I'll propose a student-ran media course and create a QR code questionnaire for the 23rd tabling event. So this QR code will kind of get me a personal level of what people understand writing communication is so that I know what kind of content needs to be posted on all the platforms. During week 5, the promotional video should be completed and sent to ABAC so that we can possibly put it on the website. And a QR code will be made for the tabling event for the 23rd, and we'll start gathering insights from there. During week 6 will be my research week. It'll also be me connecting with the alumni, gathering their success stories, maybe even speaking about coming in the fall of 2025 to speak. And promotional videos should be posted by now to ABAC's page and the writing communication platforms. In week 7, alumni spotlights on social media should be made. And I also began planning events for fall 2025. Even though my internship does not fall to fall 2025, I hope that I do have a faculty member who wants to adopt them and carry on with this plan. And then also this will be social media engagement week. I'll be posting a lot since this will be my second to last week, trying to keep the ball rolling so maybe someone can pick it back up and keep rolling it. And then week 8 will be data week. And I'll also be preparing for the presentation on the evaluation, and I hope to see you all there to know if all of this worked as smoothly as I hope it does. And to break down the budget, I have broken it down into media into physical things that we would need. I'm not begging for money, but if we want this to happen, we're going to need some money. So with the promotional video production, I put down camera equipment and editing software for $0 because we do have access to Studio 3 and full access to that as well. Social media management tools, this would be content scheduling apps and like Lightroom and editing stuff would be about $300. I set this for 3 months for the summer of 2025. For graphic design software, this would be a subscription to just like Adobe, which I do believe that we have access to. And that would be a 3-month subscription as well for $150 for all of the flyers and digital flyers. I also kind of thought about a social media iPhone to kind of be so no one has to keep the logins on their phone and keep passing it around. We could have a phone dedicated for running the social medias. And I did look at Walmart, and there was one for $159, so saving money there. And then also pay for a PR creator or a student worker with under Reason. So this would be for student wage universally about $10 an hour for 3 months, and the total is $6,369. But I do have cost saving opportunities because we love to save money. And then there's informational brochures. So this would be design and printing of about 350 department brochures for orientation tables in the summer. So it would be about $450. Orientation materials such as tabling materials. I do understand that we get tables and chairs once we book through CourseDog, but I do think it would be beneficial to have some decoration on the table to kind of pull people in. So that would be about $450 with a good tablecloth. And then banner, oh that was $100, sorry. Department banner for portable banners for events and tables. For good quality, I set it at $400. For branded items such as pens, notebooks, and other small items with writing communication branding would be another $400. And that total is $1,350. So now I just pretty much threw y'all a whole semester of tuition. But I do have cost saving opportunities. We can use what we already have. We could potentially have a fundraiser with alumni coming to campus and maybe having some fundraising opportunities. And then with using a lot of what we already have on campus. There's a lot of this that's given to us already, so let's use it, such as the camera equipment and the graphic design software. I know that I have access to Adobe, so I think that we could definitely use the resources that we already have. So how are we going to tell if we made a difference? First, through primary enrollment. Did we succeed from 5 to 10%? Small leaps are still leaps. So even if I'm not expecting this to jump off the boards, but a small grow would be great. Secondary goals, 15% increase on department website, 500 plus followers, 25% increase in orientation inquiries, and 30% awareness of writing communication non-majors through the surveys. And through analytics framework would be weekly engagement, monthly enrollment data comparison, quarterly survey assessment of department perception, continuous monitoring of event turnout, quantitative assessment, which would be surveys before and after faculty feedback, and administrative cognition. All right, let's keep it ethical. So our plan adheres to the PRSA Code of Ethics, focusing on advocacy, honesty, expertise, independence, loyalty, and fairness. We are not engaging in deceptive marketing here. We are accurately communicating the genuine value proposition of our program. PRSA states taken on a special obligation to operate ethically and ensure the public is well educated about the practices in the profession. Throughout my entire research, I did keep referring back to the PRSA Code of Ethics just to make sure that I wasn't doing anything that would upset any of the other departments and just make sure everything that I was doing was ethical. So to conclude my call to action, this is your essential role. We cannot succeed without your active participation. So I'm asking you, Writing Communication Department, share your experience, engage with students, connect with alumni, and cross-promote. Look for opportunities that highlight writing communication in your external professional activities. Each of you represent a powerful opportunity to reshape perception through your individual influence networks. As I return to Professor Jay's question, what can't you do with a writing communications degree? This isn't just a rhetorical flourish, it is a fundamental reframing that we must accomplish. Our goal, transform perception from optional to essential. Let's bridge the gap between market reality and student perception. Let's evaluate writing communication from the smallest to the most strategically important department. Thank you so much for your time, and I'm more than happy to have any questions or suggestions for this plan starting in the summer of 2025. Thank you. So I feel like if we didn't get enough money for the program, I feel like we could just start at the baseline with just Instagram platforms, kind of start small, build the foundation first, and then grow from there. That's initially what I would think about doing, is using the stuff that doesn't cost money first, and then once we get enough recognition, maybe we could gather during that time some more money to, in the future, use it later. So that's probably what I would do, but that's a really good question. I didn't really consider that. Thank you. I would say teamwork. This is not just a one-man job. Yes, I could propose the plan, but I would need some help as well. So if somebody would adopt it as we keep going, and having that student-read media course would probably be very beneficial, because I know that with the Pegasus Literary Magazine, we have the publishing process class, and that's kind of how she keeps her plan keep going, is requiring a class for students to continue it. So I feel like it would just need to be teamwork and someone having the energy, the time to continue with the plan just as much as I have during the summer. So that's probably what I would do, is just make sure that somebody, every time you pass it off, is just as enthusiastic for it. And this be repleting. I want this to be an opportunity for people to continue with this in the future with internships, because I do think that public relations is very interesting, and that might just be me. But I do think that this would be fun for somebody to do in the future, so I do want it to mainly be an internship opportunity, or maybe like a student work with a faculty supervision. But if it ends up we don't have any person to do the internship, I would want immediately a faculty member who is experienced in public relations and social media and that kind of stuff. So I did think about that. I thought about initially with high school students, because I talked about with Sydney Hall going to high schools and maybe like going into classes and speaking. I think that would be really, really beneficial to go to the library. So I know that there's a lot of students that work there, especially what you've told me in the past. So that would be really interesting to go outreach into the community. I do want this plan to be replicable for any department. So that's why I kind of tried to keep it broad, so that the business department could possibly pick it up if they wanted to. But that would be very beneficial to go to libraries and kind of get like a community outreach. Thank you.